I really, wow, this is fantastic. I had no idea. Thank you all so much for taking your time to come out and be here. I'd like to take this opportunity to just tell you a little bit about myself. I have been an entrepreneur my entire life. I started working construction jobs when I was 17 because those were the highest paying jobs available. And I've paid for everything that I've had in my life since I've been 17 years old. When I was 21 years old, when I was a junior in college, I started a one-man handyman business, me, and actually grew that business to employ over 1,000 people. Electrical, mechanical.
Wait, are you sure you didn't build that?
Wow. But you know, if you show up on time, if you do what you say you'll do for people, if you do a little bit more than what you say you'll do for people, tying people into the bottom line, that was the reason for this success. And like I say, I was New Mexico's largest construction employer. Electrical, mechanical, plumbing, pipe fitting, engineers, architects. Really, American dream come true. I sold that business in 1999. Nobody lost their job. They're doing better than ever, and it allows me to be able to have a full-time, unpaid job running for President of the United States. When I'm also an athlete. I think that's important in this also. My passions are downhill skiing. I have built my dream home north of Taos because skiing there is as good as anywhere on the planet. That's one of my passions. Another one of my passions is mountain biking. I'll be doing the Leadville 100 mountain bike race here in 3 weeks. It'll be my 9th Leadville since 2002, but these are my passions. I've had the good fortune to climb Mount Everest. I have the goal to climb the highest mountain on each continent, just thinking that would be a great way to see the planet. When I ran for governor of New Mexico, I was a complete outsider. I was a registered Republican, but I've always declared myself as a libertarian going back now 40 years, going back to 1971 when the Libertarian Party was founded. I found myself reading a book about libertarianism, what it meant, what it was all about, and from that time on, I've identified myself as a libertarian. I remember going to a debate in New Mexico, a congressional debate, and here's the way the conversation went in the bar, and tell me if you haven't heard the same conversation. It was, well, who won the debate? Well, it was the Libertarian, the Republican, and the Democrat. Well, the Libertarian won the debate, but who are we going to vote for? Because we have to vote for somebody that's going to win the election. Well, I think I've heard that all the way through. But I went and I introduced myself to the Republican Party 2 weeks before I announced my candidacy for governor. What the Republican Party of New Mexico said to me was, wow, we like you, we like what you've got to say. We're going to be completely inclusive. We're going to include you in all the debates and all the discussions, all the gatherings. You know, you can be a part of this process. I would never have been governor of New Mexico if the Republican Party would not have been inclusive to me in doing that. But they said, look, you'll never get elected. It's not possible to come from completely outside of politics and get elected governor in a state that's 2-to-1 Democrat. Now, I got elected. Probably the main factor was, of the $550,000 that it cost me for the primary, 510 of it was mine, and 30 of it came in the last couple of days because it appeared as though I would win. I think I really made a name for myself as governor of New Mexico in that I may have vetoed more legislation than the other 49 governors in the country combined. I vetoed 750 bills. I had thousands of line item vetoes. Only 2 were overturned, so it made a difference when it came to billions of dollars worth of spending, and it made a difference when it came to civil liberties of all sorts. Government wanting to add time and money in all of our lives and wasn't going to make us any safer, wasn't going to make our lives any better whatsoever. I would like to share with you my favorite bill that I vetoed. It was my first year in office. It was a Republican piece of legislation. It was a dog and cat exercise bill that, but for my signature, would have been law in New Mexico to require pet stores to exercise their dogs and cats 2 hours a day, 3 times a week. Now I have to tell you, that's a great idea. It's a business practice that I think I would follow as a dog and pet store owner. But if I would have signed that piece of legislation, and this was my veto message, if I sign this piece of legislation, the next thing I'm going to have to do is fund the dog and cat exercise police, because there's always unintended consequences with regard everything government does. Well, now I'm the Libertarian candidate for President of the United States, and I am really excited because it isn't that there's a third choice. I think it's that there is an only choice, and the only choice is that, and I am now talking about Obama, Romney, and myself. The Libertarian candidate for president, me, will be on the ballot in all 50 states. We have issues with a couple of states. We think we're going to work them out, but really, there are only 3 candidates on the ballot in all 50 states. And when it comes to differences between the other 2 candidates, I'm the only candidate that wants to get out of Afghanistan and end the wars now. No military interventions. No military interventions. And if that's going to happen, it's going to happen with a congressional approval. And I just can't see it happening because of the unintended consequences that go along with all of our military interventions. Talking about marriage equality, believing that it is a constitutionally guaranteed right. The notion of being pro-choice regarding everything. Bring an end to the drug war. Repeal the Patriot Act. I would have never signed the National Defense Authorization Act, allowing for detainment of U.S. citizens without being charged. I'm the only candidate that's going to promise to submit a balanced budget to Congress in the year 2013. And that means a 43% reduction in military spending, something that this debate and this discussion needs to take on. I'm also the only candidate that's advocating abolishing the IRS, the income tax, corporate tax. I am advocating on the part of the fair tax, let's call it the less fair tax, but I am advocating for the less fair tax, which I think really reboots the American economy, that when it comes to American jobs, if the private sector doesn't create tens of millions of jobs with a zero corporate tax rate environment, I don't know what it's going to take to create tens of millions of jobs in this country. I think manufacturing jobs will flock back to the United States. Talking about immigration reform, I'm the only voice that I think has a basis in reality. Bring an end to the drug wars. Look, this is a voice that is not being heard, and yet I think it's reflective of most Americans. And most Americans I put in the broad brushstroke category of being fiscally responsible and socially accepting. I'm in that category. I think the majority of Americans are in that category. Okay, philosophically, that's where we're at. That's where the majority of Americans are at. So what are the problems facing this country? What are the solutions that go along with the problems? And then to be running for President of the United States, I think you have to have a resume that actually suggests that you're going to doggedly pursue the agenda that we are talking about. And there is nothing in my resume to suggest that I am not going to doggedly pursue this agenda and that it won't make a huge difference. So the idea here in running for President of the United States is to win, okay? Just so that there's no qualms about that whatsoever. And also that this is an investment. It's an investment on your part. It's an investment on my part. But I would look to this investment going forward to 2016. And I'm also believing that we're going to be the benchmark here. That if I'm in the national debates against Obama and Romney, I think anything is possible. That could be a crash and burn, or that could be new success. I'm believing that the latter will actually take place. But right now, the issue is polling, and the issue is being at 15% in the national polls. Right now, I'm being included in 3 national polls, and it's anywhere between a low of 5 and a high of 23 when it comes to these polls, depending on the state that gets polled. So just getting in the polls, I think, will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. What, there is another candidate on the ballot in all 50 states? And what is he talking about? Fiscally responsible? Yeah, that's me. Socially accepting? Yeah, that's me. Well, what kind of experience does he have? Well, he's got more experience than the other two of them combined. All right, well, there's got to be something wrong with him. Well, no, actually his experience is saying no to government spending in a really big way. So there's a huge opportunity. We all have a chance here to change America, and it is for the better. And I'm excited about it. I really want you to know. I couldn't be more heartened about what is happening. We are competing with a fraction of a penny relative to these guys' dollars, and we're making a big, big difference. So nobody be disheartened by this at all. And when people hear this message, and I'm sure you get into conversations with your friends and colleagues, business associates, it's easy to defend. There's nothing to defend about being a libertarian. It's what's right. It's what the majority of people are. It's just that they don't recognize that. And I'm also pointing out another obvious phenomenon in this country. More people identify themselves as libertarian than vote libertarian. So this is the cycle, I think, where that actually catches up, where we have a lot more people that actually identify themselves as libertarian, and for those that identify themselves as libertarian, that they would actually vote this way. So thank you to all of you, really. And the fun run this morning was just exactly that. It was a lot of fun. Tim, Becky, thank you. Thank you. It was great. Thank you all.
Here he goes.